Today we're going to do lesson 7, and today we're in, again, I keep repeating this just because I want to make sure that if someone's now jumping in this video for the first time, they know where I'm at. So Singapore Primary Math, and this is the US edition, not the new primary that they have out now. It's the US edition, and it's 4A, we're in grade 4, and we are doing today, we're going to do the textbook. In the textbook, we are going to do, let me make sure I have the right page here. We are doing page 17 in the textbook, and then after we're finished with that, we're going to do exercise 7 in the workbook. Okay, so it's textbooks page 17, workbook exercise 7. All right, so here's a question I have for you. Let's say I want to buy two things, and let's say that the first thing cost $4.85, and let's say that the second thing that I want to buy costs $3.39. Now I have a $10 bill. All right, what's a quick way to determine if I have enough money? Right? What's a quick way to determine if I have enough money? Well, here's what. The quickest way is to make an estimate, okay? One thing costs $4.85. That's approximately, based on everything we learned, would we round up or round down? All right, based on everything we learned, we would round 485 up because it's greater than 450. We'd round it up to $5. And based on everything we learned, we would round 339 is less than 350. We would round it down to $3. Okay, so based on everything we learned, the two objects that I want to buy would cost me about $8 approximately. It's an estimate, it's not an exact value, right? It would cost me approximately $8. Well, I have $10. So do I have enough money? Yes, I do. And guess what? That's what we want to do if we're in a store trying to determine very quickly if we have enough money. If we're in a store, I mean, I guess technically in these days you could pull out your phone and use a calculator. But guess what? We don't want to probably do that all the time. Plus, who knows? Maybe you don't have a phone, right? But we don't want to have to go through, oh, what's 485 plus 339? Oh, what is it? What is it? We want to make a quick estimate. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at rounding off with addition and subtraction. I am going to give you a rounding off subtraction question. So 943 minus 281 is what we're looking for, and we're looking for an approximate value. This is what we use to mean approximate or an estimate, right? Approximately, it's just two squiggly lines, right? Okay, so we're looking for an approximate value here. We're not looking for an exact value. Look, if you wanted the exact value, you can use mental math, or you could even do the up-down method, right? Which would be just like this, and you go ahead and do your subtraction. But that's not what we're looking for. We're doing rounding off because we're looking for an estimate value. All right, what we want to do here is we want to round both numbers to either to the nearest hundreds. In this case, we're going to go to the nearest hundreds. Technically, we could go to the nearest 10, but we're choosing the nearest hundreds to get our approximate value. All right, here's what this is what you can do, nearest hundreds on both numbers. But what you do not want to do, so X on this, is you don't really want to round this first one to the nearest hundreds and then say, okay, well, I'll round this one to the nearest tens. All right? If you're rounding one number to the nearest hundreds, you want to make sure you round the other number to the nearest hundreds as well. You don't want to round one to the nearest hundreds and the next one to the nearest tens, or even the nearest thousands for one and the nearest hundreds for the other. You want to be consistent. All right, so based on everything we learned, right, and I'm going to go through it with you again, based on everything we learned, if we're trying to round 943 to the nearest hundreds, the hundreds before 943, the hundreds number before 943 would be 900, and the hundreds number after 943 would be 1,000. All right, between them, we'd have 950. 950 is the middle number between 900 here on this side and 1,000 on this side. And 943 would fall here, closer to 900. All right, so the nearest hundreds to 943 based on our calculation would be 900. All right, and the nearest hundreds to 281 based on everything we've learned so far would be 300. So 943 minus 281 is approximately, remember the squiggly line, 600. All right, so that's one subtraction question. Let's look at one addition question. All right, let's say we wanted to find out what's 426 plus 932 plus 150. What's the approximate value of that? Based on everything I just told you, we have to decide what we're rounding it to. We're going to round everything off to the nearest hundreds. All right, based on everything we learned, what's the nearest hundreds to 426? You can shout it out if you know it. What's the nearest hundreds to 426? It would be 400. What's the nearest hundred to 932? Again, shout it out if you know it. It would be 900. And what's the nearest hundred to 150? Remember what we said, if something is halfway in between, like it's 150 is halfway in between 100 and 200. So what are we doing? Are we rounding up or are we rounding down? All right, we are rounding up. So 150 rounds up to 200, and what's the approximate value? Well, let's do mental math here, right? 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 2 is 15. So the approximate value is 1500. Let's look at another question here. I'm showing you all forms of the question here so that when you start working out the activities, you will know how to work the question out. Again, this is 349 plus 4,569 plus 920. Again, remember the rule. If you're rounding up to the nearest hundreds, you have to stick to the nearest hundreds. Because this is a 4-digit number does not mean that you round it to the nearest thousand. You stick to the nearest hundreds to get a better estimate. It's not that you can't round to the nearest thousand, but the nearest hundreds, sticking to the nearest hundreds with all three of these numbers will give you a better estimate of the answer. Okay, so based on everything we learned, the nearest hundreds to 349 is what? I started writing it before I asked you, but it's 300 because 349 is less than 350. What's the nearest hundreds to 4,569? What do you look at? You look at the number in the hundreds place, right? So 4,569 is somewhere between 4,500 and 4,600. All right, is it closer to 4,500 or is it closer to 4,600? Based on everything we learned, you should see that it's closer to 4,600. All right, now 920, how do you round that? Do you round it to 900 or do you round it to 1,000? Based on everything we learned, 920 is closer to 900. All right, and now you can get an approximate value. Let's see what we can do here. We can say 4,600 plus 300 would give you what? 4,900, and 4,900 plus 900 would give you approximately 5,800. All right, let's look at one more question. Let's say that we had 1,250 plus 801 minus 30. All right, and again, we are rounding to the nearest hundreds. All right, again, we're staying consistent. Every number is being rounded to the nearest hundreds. So let's look at what we have here. We're looking for the approximate value. Based on everything we learned, if we have 1250, the nearest hundreds to 1250 would be 1200 and 1300. And the middle number will be 1250. And what did we say? If we have 1250, which is the middle number between 1200 and 1300, we round it up to 1300. Okay, so let's round it up. So we round this up to 1300. All right, 801. What do we round it to? 800. 30. All right, 30 is between 0 and 100. Between 0 and 100, the halfway point is 50. Anything 50 and above, we'd round up to 100. Anything below 50, we'd round down to 0. So this 30 becomes 0. And in our number, we can say 1300 plus 800. All right, 1300 based on mental math. 1300 plus 700 is 2000. So 1300 plus 800 is going to be 2100. All right, it's going to be approximately 2100. All right, so now that I've shown you all of this, let's go to page number 16. I know page number 17. Let's go to page 17. My battery power is going, but let's go to page 17 and look at task 8. All right, so they're asking us 712 plus 492. How do you round up how do you find the answer to the nearest 100? You go ahead and do it. Pause the video right now and go ahead and do that question and then come back in. All right, you should have seen, based on everything we learned, that 712 is close to 700, right? And 492 is close to 500. Okay, and 700 plus 500, what do you get? Use mental math. 700 plus 300 will give us 1,000, plus 200 will give us approximately 1,200. All right, now let's go again with, can you go ahead and do page 17, and it's going to be task 9 or question 9. You go ahead and do that. Again, use the teacher's manual to get the answer, or have your parents with the answer with you, work out the answer with you to make sure that you have the correct answers. All right, now we're going to go to, again, page 17, and it's going to be task 10. And let's see how we're rounding here. Our question is 786 minus 297 plus 518, and we want an estimate. All right, so we're going to round everything to the nearest 100. Based on everything we learned, 786 to the nearest 100 is going to be 800. 297 to the nearest 100 would be 300. 518 to the nearest 100 would be 500. Okay, now you're allowed to do either addition or subtraction first. So you can say 800 minus 300 is going to be 500, and 500 plus 500 would be 1,000. So your answer would be that this subtraction and addition is approximately 1,000. All right, now that you're done with that, you're going to do page 17, task 11. Again, have your parents work it with you, or do it yourself and check the answers in the teacher's manual. When you're finished with that, do workbook exercise 7. Alrighty, don't forget to like, comment, especially if you need the answers, and subscribe. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.